Haque. I love talking about managed service providers, technology, MSPs, how they service the small to medium sized business. I'm great. I'm a great partner with ConnectWise, which is a great technology firm in Tampa, Florida, that provides great platform and applications and services for managed service providers. I have this discussion with Oz in the headquarters of ConnectWise, the first floor, which is all open, great big screens, a great little theater there. I say little, it's a very big theater there. There's a great conference coming up called Automation Nation. And I talked to Oz about it, talk about why MSP should go, what they're going to learn there, and why it's so necessary. It's a quarterly event. It's about hyper automation and AI. And it's a great conversation with Oz. He's just a well-rounded, really smart, and really wants the best for the MSP community. Great conversation with Oz there at ConnectWise headquarters in Tampa. I thank him for doing it, and I thank you for listening. Hi, I'm Joey Pinz. People ask me, how did I lose 130 pounds? The quick answer is always discipline. I started my business, wasn't paying attention to my health, was eating too much, drinking too much sweets. My daughter was born. Next thing I know, I'm pre-diabetic. I have hypertension. I knew something had to change. Discipline. I, like many of you, have faced many challenges in your career, in your family, in your life, in your faith. How did you attack them? How did you approach them? How did you solve them, hopefully? It all had to have some degree of discipline. I'm also asked, how did you found and start a tech business that lasted over 25 years? Discipline. I was committed to it, enjoyed technology, didn't enjoy some aspects of it, but knew it was necessary. Discipline. Our podcast mission, how do we use discipline to better ourselves and society? Join me, please, as I talk to interesting people and discuss how they use discipline in their family and their passion and their careers and how it helped them. Our podcast vision, growth through learning from others. Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. It'll be light and serious. Join us, please. Thank you for consideration. Good morning. It's so great to see you. We're here at the ConnectWise headquarters downtown Tampa. This is an exciting time.
It is. It is. Love this building. Love the location. We're in downtown, and other than the summers, it's beautiful here.
Yeah, it sure is. And we're here in August too. Yeah. What is it about boating that you like so much about?
It's the water. The water is just it's my woosah. It's my calming mechanism. So you can have a crazy week and have a crazy day as soon as I get out on the water, and it's just water ahead, and you can just see nature. It's just so soothing. It's a nice way to just detach from day-to-day life, and it also gives me a chance to sort of build that bond with my family. We go out boating together most of the time. Every once in a while, I'll take it out myself or with some friends, but most of the time, it's really our family thing. So it's a lot of fun, and they love it. They're learning. They're avid boaters now, to the point where they're like, well, what kind of motors on the boat that we're getting this weekend? And I'm like, oh, gee, seriously, you're not happy with a 90 horsepower engine, you want 150.
That's nice. Just when you said the water, I kind of took a deep breath. It's just very calming to me. It puts me out, actually. I start getting drowsy. It's just so. Does your cell work out there? Can you turn the phone off?
You can. I tend to not work while I'm out there, but I do keep it on because I still use GPS and all that stuff.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
I still have. They've got some good apps out there for navionics. But for the most part, and you know what? The other part that I love is music out on the water. Right. So I'll just sit there. I don't even have to get off the boat. I'll anchor up to an island.
Nice.
Put some my favorite tunes on. I've got a boating list, and then I'll just sit there with my feet up and just watch. I'll just watch all the other boaters and all the other people. Love it.
Is it yacht rock?
Which one?
Your music list.
Oh, it's my boating list. I just call it boating list 1, boating list 2. So depending on it, it's funny. I have a country list for boating, and then I have a classic rock list, and then I have just everything.
I see. And do your daughters have input on this list? Because, you know, they probably have very different tastes.
Absolutely. No, we actually have some pretty similar tastes.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So
Really?
I'm considered the cool dad.
No,
So we're in the
nice.
car. I've got their playlist playing on my stuff. They're like, Dad, here's another one to add there. Okay, I'll do it. I'll do
Look
it.
at that.
Helps me relate back to
Ah.
them.
Oh, you have daughters. I have daughters. I don't
Yeah.
know any other way. It's
No,
absolutely
there's
wonderful.
not.
I don't. It's absolutely wonderful. So
There's not.
Automation Nation is happening
Yes.
in a couple of weeks. And why should MSPs attend?
Yes, absolutely. So it is. So Automation Nation, for those that have not heard of it before, right? It's our quarterly industry event, right? It's not specific to our hyperautomation products. It's more about come learn from your peers. So we'll have partners, we'll have customers presenting things like best practices in the industry when you're taking on a hyperautomation journey. We'll talk about what are some of the challenges as you start to adopt hyperautomation. This market is poised for automation, and every MSP needs to have started the journey already, or needs to start it today. And coming to an event like Automation Nation just gets you fast tracked to that. Right? So there's two paths. One is they come in, they see sessions from our partners, automation maturity, best practices. How do you get efficiency and cost savings by applying automation? Like, how do you justify the time, energy, and people it takes to adopt this technology? And then there's another path where you're going to walk away with, doesn't matter what expertise level you have in automation. You can either start with building workflows, you can go to advanced, start building third-party integrations, and then you can conclude with like building custom actions to third-party products, or custom actions to do all sorts of really cool stuff with automation. And you're not just coming to listen and learn, you're coming to apply. You'll be able to dive into the product, get your hands dirty, and when you walk away, you'll be able to go back to your desk or your office and apply whatever you just learned in those 3 labs back into your environment. And you don't need to have an expert in automation to do this stuff. We've made it easy with low-code, with a low-code platform. So that's sort of the high level on why somebody would want to come there. And last but not least, we throw a pretty good party.
Yes.
We have an offsite party over at Gen X, which is down the street. Great DJ, some karaoke every once in a while, great food, drinks, camaraderie among our ecosystem. If you don't come for anything more than that party, we're happy.
And the audience, do they already have to be partners, or are they looking at these tools as well if they're not partners?
Yeah, no, they don't have to be partners. They don't have to be ConnectWise customers. This is open to the industry. If you are on the path or thinking about going on this hyperautomation journey, this is an event for you, right? And I mentioned it's quarterly.
Yeah.
A lot of folks will be like, oh yeah, you know what? I want to wait till a big event like IT Nation Connect, and we have an Automation Nation the day before as a pre-day, which is out in November. But why wait 3 months? I mean, if you start hyper-automating today, your savings come in faster, you're optimizing faster. It's all it just prolongs the inevitable, which is how are you going to save money and how are you going to scale? So I would encourage those coming in September 9th and 10th. Register, join us. We'll have some fun. We'll learn. We'll have something to take back.
Yeah, very good point, because there's a Automation Nation at Connect, but it's smaller, and there might not be everything that's covered there that's covered here. And what you learn here, you can actually take into that next event. So these quarterly meetings are purposely set up just for that. They want the newest information, the newest automation, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. So the first half of this year, I mean, we have this rolling roadmap, right? So in that roadmap, we've had so many new functions and capabilities that we've added to the platform, which is why we can have that frequency every quarter. It's like we have enough to show new things, new skills, new experiences of the platform that they can take back. So whatever we're showing in September, maybe we'll show a couple things out in November, but you're going to see something totally different in November because we're moving at a pretty agile pace of adding new features and functions as our partners tell us what they need. So coming into September, you'll see it'll be different from what you saw in February. It's different from the one we had in July. It'll be unique to September. So it's a more intimate event. So it's being here at HQ, you'll see a lot of folks from the product teams, the engineering teams, from our leadership teams coming in and being able to connect with them. IT Nation Connect, great event, lots of people, right? And it's not as intimate, but you'll still get value there. But why not come to HQ in September?
And who at the MSP should attend? Is it just technicians? Can sales? Can admin? Do owners?
Yeah, it's a mix, right? What I would say is depends on where the MSP is in their journey, right? If you're a business owner and you're trying to figure out why you want to invest in a hyper
Mm,
automation,
mm,
it's great for a product owner, right? I'm sorry, an MSP owner. If you want somebody to come in and you want to sponsor somebody to actually learn heavily in the labs and then come back with, hey, what can I apply today?
mm,
Then you look for more of an automation engineer or maybe a technical operator to come in along with the owner.
mm.
So you get the business aspect and then you get the technical aspect. And then third, and this is where I see the future of hyper automation, like as we mature as MSPs, hyper automation, it's going to be very business driven,
Hmm.
right? This is happening. I've already seen this happen in the enterprise space with hyper automation. It becomes less technical, less coding, and more of a business opportunity. So business users will be like, okay, well, how do I optimize my business? And it's so easy for them to go through and create automations in the business that business will lead those discussions. So if you have a business analyst or a project manager that's responsible for overseeing the operations across the company, service desk tickets or monitoring systems, send a business analyst to come and actually gather requirements and then come back to the owner or to the technical teams with advice on, hey, this is how we should implement hyper automation. A lot of organizations may not be there yet, but we can start with the technical side, move to the business. But over the next 3 to 5 years, it's going to be business users coming and using the platform to hyper automate.
Wow. You mentioned before, Oz, that it's some of the peers will actually be demonstrating,
Mhm.
excuse me, in the lab, not just ConnectWise engineers.
Correct.
How so? That's pretty neat. So some of the MSPs have already matured at a certain level where they want to share their information.
Absolutely,
Ah,
yes.
that's really
Yeah,
cool.
so this platform's been around for almost a 1 year anniversary now.
Wow.
And in that time, we've already had partners in a mature state of being able to apply advanced automations in their organization. Started off slow, started to move to more complex stuff. We've had testimonials from partners, we've had case studies from partners, and we've now invited them to come share that story. So they've already gone through the pitfalls of adopting hyperautomation. It's never an easy task, but they'll come share what not to do and what to do, right?
Mm.
So I think it's a great opportunity to hear from them. They're also kind enough to, it's an ecosystem, right? They're kind enough to not be afraid of sharing that information,
Mm.
right? It's all about making sure the ecosystem's strong. Everyone's going to have hyperautomation at some point. So what's the point of delaying it? Let's just share it together. It's kind of like the battery from Tesla. As soon as Elon Musk opened up those plans, you now have every other car vendor doing EV.
Mm.
Hyperautomation is one of those things. Everyone's going to automate. It's just a matter of which tool you select.
Hmm.
But if we can create a industry specific event on hyperautomation by itself, regardless of whether you're a ConnectWise customer,
Right.
hey, it should spread like wildfire.
It's win-win, yeah. And a lot of times MSPs want to hear from other MSPs because
Yeah.
they eat their own dog food. Not that engineers are disconnected, but still, this is what we found in our MSP, and this is how we solved it. And other MSPs want to see that. So a lot of times there's lots of commonality there.
Absolutely. And we have this really awesome virtual community on specific type of automation. And it's out there. It's on the ConnectWise website. But the virtual community is not just on our hyper automation tools, but hyper automation in general. And they're just answering each other's questions. They're like, hey, where do I start? Here, we started with this particular onboarding process for Microsoft 365, or we started with password resets, right? It's just a community of everyone just saying, hey, this is where we started, or don't start here. We tried it, went down the path, don't do it, right? And that's the cool thing about the virtual community is you're just you're sharing, and then at the same time, my team we're out there putting out surveys, trying to gather feedback from the partners every week. Like, hey, we're about to release this. Anybody interested in trying this out? Here you go. Here's a link. So we got that little collaboration going across the community.
Very good. It's a wonderful community. Where does hyper automation leave off and AI begin? Or do they intersect?
I would say they're interchange. They're interconnected, right? So hyper automation, the way that we define it, right, is a set of technologies for automating as many IT business processes and tasks as possible, right? And in that, you have technologies such as AI, such as machine learning, workflow orchestration, our robotic process automation, intelligent document processing. You have to be able to ingest information and data in order to automate it, right? And then there's a whole slew of other things that are in our larger roadmap that talk about different ways to automate and how do we make it easier. So I would say AI is a core component of hyperautomation, and because it's becoming easier and easier to adopt, you'll see it in almost every hyperautomation vendor out there. And so from our platform perspective, we do have it built in. We're just trying to figure out what are the best ways to use it. It is data centric, and taking, one of the advantages of a platform strategy is it is data rich, right? We have all the information from all the MSPs that we work with on how they're, what type of data they're using. And then to be able to easily just analyze that information, use AI to say, okay, you know what, we should automate X processes because here's the potential return on investment. Instead of return on investment, I like to say return on automation, ROA, right? And that's sort of the path that we can go down to justify why do you want to actually put resources in people when you have a 5-person shop all the way up to a 150-person shop, right? Or even more.
Give me an example of a hyper automation. What kind of teaser can we give anybody who's listening?
Yeah. The most, I would say that the most self-satisfying example of this is you as a MSP user come in and you're responsible for support and let's say service desk tickets, right? How many times in a morning or you come back from the weekend, in your inbox, do you have a requirements for something really mundane that like 50 password resets, or I forgot to, I forgot my password and got locked out. I need a reset. Or I've got 40 customers that I need to onboard, depending on how large you are. Or maybe I have 5 customers that I need to onboard. Why spend the time doing that when you could be focused on more opportunistic work or more, just something that's more fun, right? So let hyperautomation manage those types of tickets. Let it do 90 to 100% of what you want it to do, especially if it's low risk. And that frees you up to do so much more with your time, whether you're going out there and learning the next technology, whether you're going and taking classes on AI to further enhance your own experience, but you're spending less time on the mundane stuff. Let it operationalize and automate it. It frees you up to do more work. And then as a business owner, you've got employees that are happier with their job. It's not taking away their job. You're just making it easier for them, right? And if they adopt it the right way, hey, everyone's happy.
When I talk to MSPs, it's been consistent for the last 3 or 4 years. There's 3 things that keep them up at night. One is security. They're worried about their clients, clicking on something incorrectly, getting ransomware. Second is human capital. How am I going to replace this great technician if they leave? How am I going to get others? And then lastly is just growth. I need to grow. I need sales help. How does Automation Nation help, or even Hyperautomation help in one or any of these?
Yeah, absolutely. So if we start with the first point that you mentioned with security, right? There's we just finished up Automation Nation at IT Nation Secure, and we had a session just on, and even we had our Evolve conference last week, where we had a session specifically on how does hyperautomation fit into security, right? And being able to, in this new world of cybersecurity, using AI and other types of automation to be able to detect threats and respond to threats faster than humans can, right? If you don't have automation built into there, you're not going to be able to keep up with the pace of cybersecurity attacks or vulnerabilities or patch management. Let hyperautomation do that work for you, so you're staying ahead of those attacks, right? So that's one point. And what we do, we offer sessions that sort of highlight from an industry perspective. Here are your common areas of where you start with hyperautomation. Here are the benefits of applying hyperautomation. And yes, it takes a little bit of time and energy to build these automations, but once you do, you're much better off, and you're in a position of strength against those that are trying to attack these MSPs. The second point was around the human capital, right? Whatever size of MSP you are, right? You're battling against all the talent pools that are out there. Other companies, your competitors that are like, hey, I'll give you an extra 10,000. Or you have employees that are just unsatisfied, right? So you attack both sides of that with hyperautomation to say, okay, well, you know what? Let's make your job more fun. Just like I was saying, let's automate some of the more mundane stuff, frees you up to learn, build, and grow yourself. The other part of it is with budgets being tight, right? Especially during an election year, everyone's watching the economy. You can scale as an organization without adding more people. You can add automations to manage 2, 3, 5 times the service desk amount, which means you can take on more customers. You can reply to, you can respond to more RFIs and RFPs to take on more business without adding new actual people resources. So you mix in robotic process automation with people. You still have the same number of people. They're just doing more work because you're enhancing it with automation. So that's the second piece that I would say hyperautomation fits into. And then the third piece was around
Growth.
growth, right? Yeah. So this is a critical time for MSPs to watch their their EBITDA, right? And watch their margins, watch um, watch the ability to, with look at attrition of their
Yeah.
organizations, protect that intellectual property that they have on whatever their service or product providing to the IT world out there, and hyper automating helps to capture that knowledge, right? It's teaching, it's learning as a system to be able to how to respond to things. And um, if you want to grow and you want to scale, if you're not using hyper automation, your competitors are going to be out there doing this already, and you're going to fall behind. So if you want to grow, you got to adopt what's happening, and it's just adjusting to what's happening in the market.
Yeah, that's really, really well said. How does the Azio platform play in all this?
Yeah. So the ASIO platform is purpose built to be a true platform strategy, right? So rather than having bifurcated technologies where you have to maintain separate technologies, you have to figure out how to update them, you have to have different technology platforms, whether you're on premise or on cloud. ASIO provides this consolidated platform to be able to do everything from ticketing to monitoring to workflow and workflow orchestration, security, everything built in and interconnected across your company. So it just makes it easier. You don't have to go through the pains of migrations. You don't have to go through the pains of maintenance updates. ConnectWise will maintain all of that for you, right? It is the future, right? And it is not what I mean by the future is it's not something you have to wait for. It's here now, and if you start adopting it now, you're saving yourself the trouble and the headaches that are coming in 1, 2, 3 years as you evolve your technology stack. And it's also a differentiator in the market, right? There's a lot of companies that will create different stacks of different companies that they've acquired,
That's
and
right.
they'll glue it together, and it does a pretty decent job, right? But you're still stuck with integration challenges or API challenges, or how do I migrate my data over? And these don't happen right away, but they happen over 3, 4, 5 years as technology evolves. You're going to have different systems. You're going to have to redo the platform. Here, you have a central platform that's not really changing. If we are changing, everyone's going to change at the same time, and we manage it for you. So that's sort of the ASIO strategy that we push forward. We created a vision a couple of years ago. We're now in execution mode.
Yeah, you sure are. And I remember when it was launched and was discussed, there was so much excitement, so much buzz, and now you're just really mature in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what products are we essentially talking about when we talk about Automation Nation? Are there more than others that we're talking about that's on top of ASIO?
So at Automation Nation, we don't really get too specific on products. We try to keep, at least from a session perspective, we keep it neutral. Doesn't matter what type of hyper automation technology you're using. You're coming to learn about automation maturity or the journey or the challenges, and that'll be regardless of what technology you use. Now, as you get into the labs, absolutely, it is very specific to our ASIO workflow orchestration and our ASIO robotic process automation technologies, right? And then third is our Sidekick technology, which is our AI-enabled technology that helps to that's just overlaying across different parts of ConnectWise within the ASIO platform, and the three together just create this hyper automation strategy for us. So, lab-wise, yeah, we're product specific because we want you to walk away with how to create this stuff. But at some point, let's say you decide not to use ConnectWise hyper automation products, it's almost the same way across a lot of the major vendors for the basic stuff. It's when you start getting into advanced stuff that you start to see some of the advantages of a platform strategy.
Very cool. And talk to me more about the lab. So, is it an actual lab? Will there be workstations for everyone? How does this?
Yeah, so it'll be in our
cool.
our classroom setup, which is on the 7th floor here. We have 2 big screens. We will have somebody from our training and education team leading that lab, and I'll be there alongside them, talking about how our product strategy fits into this and what the different parts of hyper automation fit into the product. And so it'll be a tag team effort. Everyone brings their laptop. They have accounts set up, and then we're all in the same environment, walking through a step sheet of exactly what to do, where to click, and at the end of that, you have a nice designed workflow or a bot or an action created through that. So we try to make it as simple as possible with a step sheet. You take that step sheet back with you and work with it back at your desk.
You also mentioned a contest that's happening.
Yes. So in parallel to Automation Nation, we wanted to create some buzz and excitement around the art of the possible. right? So if you look into what workflow and RPA can do, right, it's limitless. You can build whatever you really want. At some point, we'll get to a point of maturity within the ASIO platform where you start building your own apps,
Huh.
right? And it's not too far out in the future.
Wow.
But so one of the concepts we had was, okay, let's go out to the partner community. Let's see all those bright minds out there and give them a challenge on it's related to security, right? So there's a lot of organizations out there that have a great security information management platform or system, but what they're missing is a SOAR, security orchestration, automation, and response technology. And there's independent vendors out there where you can go out there and pay money, and they'll give you their SOAR to then integrate. But just another technology you have to integrate. It's another license you have to procure. With the ASIO workflow orchestration technology, you can build your own SOAR.
Wow.
So the challenge we'll have out there for the hackathon is, hey, come present to us your best SOAR solution using workflow. You can build these automations to be able to take incidents, to do patch management, to be able to respond. And we want to see what you can build. And it doesn't have to be complex, just enough to have some sort of a SOAR application that integrates with whatever security technology you're using.
Cool.
So what we'll do is we'll take the top 2 or 3 contestants from there at Automation Nation. We'll have them present to the audience. We'll vote, and then the winner gets a free pass to IT Nation Connect in November.
Wow.
So we'll try to make it fun.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool minds and ideas out there.
Yeah, hackathons have always been pretty cool. Yeah. And so will they all be presenting here on the first floor?
Yes, right here in our beautiful center. We'll have it here. We'll have the audience here. We'll have our judges here, and we'll present here.
Very cool. And I'll be there too as well, setting up if everybody wants to have conversations. I'd love to
Yes.
hear your story. I'd love to hear about your automations. They can use the video and audio on their own website for their own marketing.
Yes, absolutely. And specific to that, we'll have a special promo code, right, that will be offered as part of that. So we'll share that out on the site with you, Joe, and that will give anybody that wants to register for this and as part of your following a chance to just come and check it out.
Very cool. The website also mentions connect with ConnectWise leaders. Some of
Yes.
the ELT, the executive leadership team, will be here.
Absolutely, yeah. So being headquarters, this is where almost 90% of our executive leadership team sits. So they'll be here during the keynotes. They'll be here during the breaks. They'll be here during the sessions, and they're just genuine folks to just talk to them about the company's strategy, about where hyperautomation fits from a strategy perspective. It is one of the we have 7 core areas of focus going into the next year or two, and RPA and hyperautomation is one of those 7. So you can challenge them on their vision. You can ask them questions on where we're going. They're all in tune with investing and spending time on where hyperautomation fits into the MSP community.
Very cool. And it also mentions certification
Yes.
in automation solutions.
Yeah, absolutely. So part of the labs, when you walk out of that lab and finish it, you'll get a digital certificate
wow.
that certifies you in a particular lab. And then we have a university that you can go out there and get other online certifications. So we've got a full program that you can just enhance your background and your skill set related to hyperautomation. So even if you haven't done hyperautomation before, we've got a path for you. And this is a great way to just get certified and just add some additional check marks against your name.
Sure, all those in LinkedIn, you could add them right there, right underneath it, and of course, perhaps the most important that you mentioned at the party, but it's just talking with other providers and just networking that way.
It is, yeah. That is probably the most powerful part of Automation Nation. It's for those that have gone to other industry events, it's less about coming in there and seeing a product demo. It's more about coming in there and talking about their stories or your stories and just being able to collaborate and build some of those relationships. It's the perfect place to just energize yourself on what's coming.
Certainly is. I mean, I've been part of the MSP community for almost 30 years, and it's just so welcoming, and just everybody has that go-giver attitude. It's a really cool part of it. Has there anything else I missed?
I don't think so. I think the highlights really are, if you're even thinking about hyperautomation, this is the start. This is you start today. Don't wait. You'll have peers to work with. We've got a special promotion code to get you interested at with a minimal cost to be able to come in and learn and take something back. And your worst case scenario is you've just learned something new about AI, hyperautomation, workflow, and you've met some people that have already gone on the journey. That's your worst case scenario. And you get to come to Tampa.
That's right. Tampa in September is beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thanks you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypins.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.